Hello, welcome to the Herb and Rick Social Hour. We invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ponderings and musings of Herb Reed and Rick Hammond as they explore various and sundry topics, ideas, and experiences. We join this week's conversation already in progress.
All right, here we go. We're in here. We're going to do, what is today?
The 5th.
5th of November.
5th,
Wow.
16.
We're going to rattle off a few subjects today. So let's start out with raccoons, possums. I found that a fascinating subject on your part. An observation in my early 50s have never noticed. That's wild. That is a wild thought. How'd you think of that? You just looked at them and you said, wait a minute, if I take the hair off of them and all the cute paint off of them.
If I take the parka off of a raccoon, it's a possum. If you looked at the teeth, the structure, the eyes, you got to go beyond what you see.
You have ruined raccoons for me forever, you realize, right?
Thank you very much. I just want you to find the reality of it.
That is sad.
But if you paid attention to a raccoon, and just look beyond the man, look beyond the parka coat.
Yeah, it's a possum.
It's a possum.
I tell you, one time when I was a kid, my granddaddy had a junkyard. I think I might have told you that before. But I was out there one day climbing up. We'd play in those old cars. They had old, cars from the 60s and 50s, even a couple of 30, a couple of specials back there behind this house that nobody messed with. But they're sitting there rotting in the weather, but you don't touch them. But anyway, so I'm out there in the junkyard playing, and it was, I don't know how many acres it was, but I decided to climb up a tree one day, and I get about halfway, I don't know, probably about 6, 8, 10 feet off the ground, but for a 8-year-old, that's pretty high.
It's high.
And I'm looking and I'm climbing, and all of a sudden I hear, and I look up,
hissing.
3 feet above me, possum, full grown, looking down at me like, you better get out of this tree.
Growling and foaming.
It's
and
hissing at me like a daggum giant snake or something.
He didn't have his coat on, so he was upset.
Oh, apparently, but I was invading his territory in that tree. It was crazy.
There's some there's king size like I said, the possums possums.
Right.
Raccoons without a coat, but they are territorial.
People keep raccoons though for pets. I had a friend that had one when I was growing up. A little snotty little raccoon. He didn't keep him forever, but their family would keep him.
Do they have the bandits, the little masks?
Oh yeah,
they do steal shiny stuff out of homes. You never heard of that?
No.
Grandmother always saying, let's go back to the old days. They used to have somebody in their family used to have a raccoon, but he would steal anything like a fork, thimble, anything with silver, take it up to the end, it would go missing.
Interesting.
Bandits, yes.
So you could actually utilize them.
Yes.
As midget bandits.
Into your neighbor's house, anything that's silver that we can.
Woo!
Excuse me. You can train a raccoon to do what you need. You're bidding for you.
You're just saying that because of the bandit look on their
No,
face.
I'm just telling you what was told for me back in the olden days.
Well,
raccoons steal shiny stuff. They can do things for you. You're trying to do your bidding. There you go.
Oh, I love that. Now, I told you what a friend of mine said at church. She's definitely from the old school, and you talk about your wives' tales. Didn't I tell you this already? She was talking about skunks and her running up on a skunk when she took her dog out to go to the bathroom. She said, I ran up on the skunk, and he would, I knew I was okay because he didn't stomp 3 times with his front legs.
Hold on, so if he stomped. Tick, tick, tick.
Right. He was getting ready to spray you. She said I didn't.
So when he stumped 3 times, then the tail is coming up, and then you're in trouble.
You got to run. You got to run. He sees you, and he stomps 3 times. Then he turns around and sprays you. You got that much. That's your window.
Is that a fact that skunk stomped 3 times before he raised that tail up? And good day.
That's apparently the deal. I don't know. According to her, if I go by that wives' tale, and I end up getting sprayed, I'm gonna be ticked off. I can tell you that right now because I smell skunk out here sometimes.
Where it goes. And it stinks.
You smell them?
Yes. That goes back to my little bidding when, looking at her she sent a picture of something. I was like, what is that, Kelsey? Oh, it's a kitty cat. No, I said, baby, that's a skunk. So what are you gonna do? You know, if you see one outdoors, kitty, 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 and then all of a sudden,
You're sprayed.
boom, there you go.
Who were you explaining that to?
My little Kelsey, the youngest one.
You called her little Dorita, right?
What?
Did
What?
I'm sorry. I thought we were going to go down on that
Rick?
subject.
Don't tell Dorita that.
All right, I won't.
Doesn't that look like a mixture?
Yeah, so I'm looking now at this interesting. All right. A cat coon, that's right. It's a cat with coon markings. Well, you got the ring tail. I can't see the face. So y'all who trapped it?
They don't want to look at you once you trap them.
But I mean, who did the trapping?
Right here in this chair.
It's like you come home to your nice suburban life, and in the middle of it, you're an Alaskan trapper of animals because you got so many cats in your yard.
The lives, and you trapped them little feral cats.
Now, you explain that term to me again.
What?
Feral? Is that a generic term for runaway cat?
That's because I wreck words, okay? So when I first heard feral, I was calling them feral cats. Feral. Egyptian feral.
That's right, because they're in a sphinx position.
Feral, I'm thinking feral cats. And guys at work happened to correct me on it. It's not feral. It's feral cats. So feral, they took, and they can get it something, but they changed my little picture on my little.
Yeah.
So they got a picture of a cat with a feral cat with a cobra on top. Feral cat.
And you hate cobras.
Yes, I hate cobras. I hate snakes, period.
You're living a tortured existence.
Yes, I am. So feral and feral. I was calling them feral cats for the longest. I'm thinking Egyptian feral cat.
Right.
Wow, but feral.
That's right. Yes, and I've heard the term. I didn't know what it meant, though.
Feral. I guess it means...
Because I don't have any cat ladies that I know of in my family.
Feral cat. I mean, just outdoor cats who has no... I mean, they're wild.
Wild? Okay. All right, so your neighbor takes them in.
Yes.
And we don't have to go down this road. I told you we didn't before we started. But did you need to share
just
anything?
Somebody we know.
Just in the neighborhood, right?
It could be a neighbor.
So you ended up having to fill in your whole front yard, not front yard, but your front porch area where your garden and your shrub bed was.
Yes, had a makeover.
Yeah.
Had to have a makeover. I mean, several times because we found out. You know what it does? Okay. That it turned out to be a big kitty litter, Rick.
Yeah.
Didn't take long, hot days, nice little wind blowing in, and there we go. So we ended up having to redig this thing out. Come to find out that feral cats had been turned out, flat into a big cat litter. So we ended up having to dig the whole thing out and probably over 200 pounds of dirt later. Redoing the
Didn't you say there was a lot of cat poop in that dirt?
Poop. Bags of dirt, poop, 200 pounds.
Oh, my gosh.
Later. How many years do we have to? I mean, I don't know, Rick.
Oh, my
But
gosh.
the problem was we didn't realize it was just escalating across
around the hood.
Somewhere in the neighborhood.
Yeah, somewhere around the hood.
In the neighborhood.
All right, well, let's roll on over. I know we had talked about your 21-year-old son and his imbibing here recently in the last couple days. Did he just turn 21?
He was a Halloween baby. So there you go.
Oh, okay. So he's fine. We thought Lily was going to be a Pearl Harbor baby, but she was a day late.
A day late.
That's right.
But ours hit that Halloween date.
So he's been just hanging and waiting and
chilling.
And our fun-loving neighbors down the street, Jonathan and Christian, decided, well, we'll introduce him to the wonderful world of imbibement.
Yes. Let's get enlightened by a bottle.
Yeah, so...
But, yeah, I mean, and like I said...
Thankfully, he stayed in the neighborhood. That's good.
He
First
did.
off, that's good.
He stayed in. He did not travel out outside of his comfort zone, so to speak. But it was just different waking him up at 4 because the alarm was... Why was the alarm going off that time, Rick? Why? 5... I mean, it's a weekend. I mean, I don't have to be at work.
Yeah.
5 o'clock, and this thing is going off 2 or 3... Why?
So he's 3 sheets to the wind.
3 sheets to the wind and no checking up.
So did he have to work today?
Yeah, he went in. He had to be at 11. What time did he get there? Maybe 11:15? Come on, Rick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, when I went in to wake him up, I mean, all I smelled was a sour fruit tasting I ain't got to say the rest of it.
Yeah, that's
But we know where it is, that hangover, and what comes along with it.
so yeah, he's got to go to work now. Trish got we were down last Christmas, and Trish was regaled with some of the stories of some of my youthful indiscretions, and I was not real. I didn't enjoy it. I mean, I'm sure you've got some from your past, and I'm not looking to rehash those.
Do
at
I,
this
Rick?
moment. I don't know, do you?
I'm
You were clean. You were clean as pure as wind-driven snow, right?
Yes.
Living,
Maybe.
okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, but my friend insisted. We were visiting them. We had a good time, but they insisted on telling stories of, well, there was this little window of time where. Oh well. Anyway, we'll touch on that at some other point.
Hit on it, Rick. We just started.
Well, I know it's a bit of an embarrassing moment. And I'm sitting here thinking I don't mind doing it, but right now I'm at this delicate point where I've got two girls that are just about reaching that age, and
mine soon will be.
Will be wanting to experiment on some level. Potentially, both of them actually seem to have a aversion to any kind of chemical,
I'll be coming after you for enlightenment later on because my girls are right there behind yours, pretty much. Yes.
Yeah. So right now, I don't know who's instilled in them. It's actually almost, a frustration for me to sit around the house and have a beer because I get so much grief. But I'm like, y'all just do not know. Back in the day, you talking a 12-pack? Okay, that's a weekend day, or whatever it might be.
12-pack weekend.
Half a quart of liquor. Okay, I mean, like, so, and I know there's no way I could go there again. So in that sense, I'm like, I know that I'm safe from that, but it's like, geez. So for right now, I don't think I've got the Kalen situation where, and we've instilled in them that they've got to come to us. That it would be really good for them to come to us. So you got
will, but you got to open up those doors for them to come to. Like I said.
So y'all didn't open up the door for Kalen?
I'm not saying we didn't open up the door. Maybe he did. We opened the door. He just didn't come in. He just didn't come in for some reason. But I mean, we had this discussion. Just like I'm not gonna say every other parent, but if you're gonna drink or try something, come to your parents first. Maybe we've been there before. Don't be afraid of us.
Yes.
We're not out to get you. Well, yeah, I mean, we're not out to get you. I mean, the thing of it is, chances are we've been through the same thing that you are getting confronted with.
And unless you study, and because I've gotten older, and we all study dietary and health, and how to what can the body deal with, and that
right.
Unless you study that stuff, you don't know what your tolerance is and what your capacity is for that. You're just going, oh man, and believe me, I spent multiple years going, geez, I went too far last night. I feel horrible. I don't want to do this again.
There are limits. I mean, the thing of it is, nowadays, do kids really know the limits? They're going to challenge. They reach one point. Are they going to beam to go high? And that's the question.
Yeah, and the beauty is creating that open environment to say, hey, we can have the discussion. Whereas, our parents were like, hey, don't you do,
right?
I don't do it, or I do this, but don't do it, or whatever it may be. And there's that stigma or that wall that goes up.
There we go. And the days our parents, were growing up, I would go back as far as growing up because my mother and daddy was a little bit more open to anything they have to come to them with, you know what I mean?
Really?
Bring it to them.
That's
yes,
nice.
I mean, I know my parents were divorced, but thing of it is, if you have a question they never hid, and if they can relate, bring it to them, and that's what hit on us today. Grandparents, like I say, they were pretty much sticking to a certain mindset, certain lines you don't cross or whatever, or don't dare. But nowadays, times have changed that you can be a little bit more open. You have to be with the kids because with each generation, the kids are changing.
Yeah, and technology is
is
robbing them of innocence on so
many
levels.
And as a parents, we have to learn, we have to adapt to both what we was growing up with and what they're going to be faced with.
Yeah.
To open up those doors. And like I said, certain beliefs, like I said, sometimes we've got to lean towards some, issues that they're dealing with today. I mean, and that's one thing, just
that's a great point because I talked with Madeline about it, and I'm like, I don't think I would have ever dealt with. We didn't really deal with that on the level that she does.
All right.
And not to go too much down the road, but like she's at a special, more of an artsy school. She got I think I told you, well, she's not at Independence where, it's a regular high school. She's been in a special school. And you've got a lot more freedom mindset in the sense that, I think there's even a young boy that comes to school dressed up in women's clothes. Now, I wouldn't have had to deal with that as a kid. Whether or not it's a good or bad thing, it's just different. I'm talking high school, right?
I'm sorry.
And there's a whole different vibe. Whereas my generation dealt more with probably. It's weird because you want to say sexual promiscuity, but nowadays I'm like, I feel horrible for the kids because they've got pornography at their fingertips. We never
It's
had that.
right there at the fingertips. It's ridiculous. It's right at the finger. They have access 24/7.
Exactly. So, and I'm like, you're dealing with a little bit different vibe than we dealt with. There doesn't seem to be quite the drug culture that I grew up with, especially the pot, the marijuana culture.
Right.
Was not really my vibe growing up, but most of my school was down with that. People were like, well, you're a musician. We assume you're shooting heroin. Literally would ask me
because
that.
You were a musician. Because you're a musician, so
right.
to speak.
Don't you want to be a better musician? Why don't you snort cocaine and shoot heroin? And I'm like,
Well, because it's like a shaman belief. You open up these drugs, open up your mind.
Right.
You know what I'm going there, Rick.
That's just not my groove. I didn't, he certainly was guilty of drinking plenty of alcohol, but it was just like, I didn't want to, for me, cocaine was like, well, I don't like being any more awake than I am. Why would I want to be like I'm on 20 cups of coffee?
But apparently just beam me up,
Yeah. But so the kids, it's interesting how the problems that they deal with morph. It's almost like they purposely morph. I almost feel this is demonic. It morphs in a way that we can't quite relate to it because we didn't deal with it in our day.
Can we relate to it? But now it's just a different era that they are relating to certain things. Yeah, could it be the same things? But now it's brought up. Let's just say back in their days, now they're having to deal with LSD.
Right.
Crystal meth. But nowadays, you had alcohol, but you still had marijuana.
It's an overall attack. You're right. In that sense, it's an overall attack trying to figure out how to wear them down. And they're at a point right now where they're trying to become adult and free.
Exactly. But they learn that from the time that they take their first breath, it seems like. Am I right or wrong from the time they take? That boom, it's there.
That's very true. Well, anyway, it's good stuff, man. I appreciate you sharing.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's Herb and Rick Social Hour.